The night it all began, the rain fell like it had a grudge against the city, drenching the streets and washing neon lights into trembling reflections. Inside a small, aging hotel restaurant, a tired black waiter wiped down a table for the last time, unaware that a single act of kindness would ripple forward through 22 years of hardship, hope, and destiny. He did not know that one day, when his back was bent by time and his dreams felt too heavy to carry, a Rolls-Royce would silently stop in front of the same hotel, waiting just for him. Before the story unfolds any further, pause for a moment. If you believe that kindness matters, that small good deeds can change lives, and that second chances are real, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope today, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel for more stories that remind us what it means to be human. The waiter's name was Elijah Moore, and his life had never been easy. Born into a neighborhood where dreams learned to whisper instead of shout, Elijah grew up watching his mother scrub floors in other people's homes while his father disappeared early under the weight of disappointment and poverty. From a young age, Elijah understood the language of survival. He learned that dignity was something you protected fiercely, even when the world offered you very little. By his mid-30s, he had settled into a routine that paid the bills but starved the soul. He worked long shifts at the hotel restaurant, wearing the same pressed uniform, carrying trays heavy with meals he could rarely afford for himself. Guests came and went, some kind, some cruel, most indifferent. Elijah learned to smile anyway. That rainy night, the restaurant was almost empty. Closing time had passed, and the manager was counting the register with impatience. Elijah noticed two small figures standing just outside the glass door, soaked, trembling, and staring at the leftover plates being cleared away. They were two orphans from the nearby shelter, siblings by circumstance if not by blood, bound together by loss. Their clothes were thin, their faces hollow, their eyes filled with a hunger deeper than food. Elijah knew that look because he had worn it himself once. Rules were rules, and the manager had made it clear that leftovers were to be discarded, not given away. Elijah stood at a crossroads that lasted only a few seconds but would echo for decades. He gathered two untouched plates, wrapped them carefully, and slipped out the back door. He handed the food to the children without asking their names, without expecting thanks, without imagining that this moment would ever matter again. He watched them eat under the awning as the rain slowed, their shoulders relaxing, their fear easing, if only for one night. Life moved on, as it always does. The children faded into memory, becoming just another face among many Elijah had helped in small, quiet ways. His own life, however, grew heavier. Years passed, and the hotel changed owners. Wages stayed low while prices climbed higher. Elijah married briefly, divorced quietly, and buried his mother with money borrowed and dignity bruised. His health declined from years of standing too long and resting too little. Still, he showed up every day, pressing his uniform, tying his shoes slowly, reminding himself that honest work still mattered. The hotel itself aged alongside him. Once elegant, it now survived on nostalgia and budget travelers. Elijah became part of the furniture, the man guests recognized but never truly saw. Younger waiters came and went, chasing bigger dreams. Elijah stayed because stability, even fragile stability, felt safer than risk. Some nights, as he mopped the floor after closing, he wondered if kindness had any real reward or if it simply made life harder by softening you in a hard world. 22 years slipped by quietly, until one ordinary afternoon shattered the routine. Elijah was working the lunch shift when he noticed unusual movement outside the hotel. A sleek, black Rolls-Royce glided to a stop at the entrance, its polished surface reflecting the worn building like a mirror from another universe. People on the sidewalk slowed. Guests leaned toward the windows. Cars like that did not visit places like this. Elijah felt a strange tightening in his chest, a mix of curiosity and unease. He straightened his uniform and continued working, assuming the car belonged to a wealthy guest who would pass through without noticing him. But the Rolls-Royce did not move. Minutes passed. Then the driver stepped out, opened the rear door, and waited. From the car emerged a tall, well-dressed man with calm eyes and a presence that commanded attention without demanding it. He scanned the hotel lobby slowly, deliberately, until his gaze landed on Elijah. In that instant, something unspoken traveled between them, a recognition that bypassed memory and went straight to the heart. Elijah froze, unsure why his hands were shaking. The man walked toward him, each step steady, purposeful, carrying the weight of years Elijah could not yet understand. Around them, the restaurant seemed to fade, sound dulling, time stretching thin. The man stopped in front of Elijah and smiled, not the polite smile of a customer, but the warm, familiar expression of someone returning home. Elijah searched his face, finding echoes of the past in the curve of his eyes, the quiet strength in his posture. Then it struck him like a wave. The rain, the children, the food. The man explained, without theatrics, that he was one of the 2 orphans from that night long ago. The meal Elijah had given them was the first time in weeks they had eaten properly. More than that, it was the first time in their short lives that a stranger had treated them like they mattered. That moment became a turning point. It taught them that the world was not entirely cruel, that kindness existed even when rules said otherwise. After that night, their paths slowly changed. A social worker noticed them. Opportunities followed. One brother pursued education with relentless focus, driven by the memory of a waiter who saw them as human beings. The other followed a different road, equally determined. Together, they built lives grounded in gratitude rather than bitterness. Success came, not easily, but honestly. And through it all, they carried Elijah's face in their memory like a compass. The man standing before Elijah had become a successful entrepreneur, his wealth measured not just in money but in purpose. He had searched for years, tracking records, visiting shelters, returning to the city again and again, determined to find the man who fed him when no one else would. The hotel was the final piece of the puzzle. Elijah listened, tears forming despite his efforts to remain composed. He felt the weight of every year, every doubt, every silent question about whether his kindness had ever meant anything. In that moment, all of it was answered. The man insisted that Elijah step outside. The Rolls-Royce waited, engine humming softly. People watched openly now, curiosity replacing indifference. Elijah felt exposed, unsure, undeserving. But he also felt something else, something he had not felt in decades. He felt seen. The gift that followed was not just financial, though that alone would have changed Elijah's life. It was respect. It was acknowledgement. The man explained that the Rolls-Royce was not a symbol of wealth, but of a journey that began with a simple meal. He offered Elijah support for his retirement, medical care, and a chance to live his remaining years without fear. More importantly, he offered friendship, a bond forged in a moment when nothing was expected in return. Word spread quickly. Staff gathered. Guests whispered. The manager watched, stunned. Elijah stood taller than he had in years, not because of pride, but because of peace. He realized that kindness does not shout. It waits. It grows quietly, patiently, until the day it returns, often in ways far greater than imagined. As the Rolls-Royce pulled away later that afternoon, Elijah remained at the entrance, sunlight warming his face. The hotel behind him looked the same, worn and imperfect, but the world felt different. His story was no longer just one of survival. It was a testament to the power of a single good deed. If this story has begun to move you, take a moment now to comment something meaningful. Share what kindness means to you, or write a message of hope for someone who might be struggling. Your words matter more than you know. Elijah continued working for a few more weeks, but his heart was lighter. He greeted guests differently, not because his circumstances had changed, but because his understanding of life had. He knew now that nothing done with love is ever wasted. Even when no one is watching, even when the world feels unfair, seeds are being planted. Near the end of his final shift, Elijah stood by the window and watched the street outside, remembering the rain, the children, the hunger, and the unexpected miracle that followed decades later. He did not regret a single moment of his life. Every struggle had led him here, to this quiet certainty that he had lived with integrity. Before this story ends, if it touched your heart even a little, please like this video, share it with someone who needs encouragement, and subscribe to the channel. These small actions help spread stories that remind us of compassion, humanity, and hope. Elijah left the hotel that evening not as a forgotten waiter, but as a man whose kindness had changed the course of lives, including his own. And somewhere down the road, the soft echo of a Rolls-Royce engine served as a reminder that goodness, no matter how small, always finds its way back.